But I'm pumped. I'm pumped. We have a very good friend of mine jumping on today, who's got an incredible background that I'm gonna have him share with us in a second, and in professional MMA. First of all, good morning, Benny. I know it's pretty early out in Scottsdale today.
Yeah, no, it's 7 o'clock. A little late now. How you doing?
So I'm great. I'm great. So Benny, I know so we'll start off with life, and before you got into maybe business, do you mind sharing a little bit about where you're from? Tell us about your background. Obviously, a lot of your before your business life was in MMA and professional fighting. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about life and where you're from and family?
Yes, sir. I'm born here in Arizona. Those that don't know, Arizona is not Cowboy City, but we are surrounded by border towns. So it's really organized crime. So everywhere you go, Arizona is really organized because all the drugs, like the biggest hub for drugs. So I lived in the projects in Phoenix, Arizona, South Phoenix. It was one of the, in those days, not now, in those days it was rated one of the worst neighborhoods here in Phoenix, but it's controlled by the Mexican Mafia. Okay, what happened there is all I saw is bad. Like all my friends were in the bad. They were doing drugs. They were selling drugs. They were big drug dealers. That's the example I had. So I didn't have mother. Mother left to California. Grew up alone. Father was not there. He's like a guy that's never around. Was really chasing girls and like he's just never around. Not a good father figure. So I grew up alone. Grew up in the streets by myself. At some points, I was a candy boy. What that means, I used to sell candy, and I have a backpack, and I used to go to Sam's Club and buy a bunch of candy and sodas, and I'll sell it. And one time when I was growing up, there's only a park where you pass by to get to where I live, and I was going to the park, and the younger people like me, people my age like me, and the older guys, they call them the OGs, they like me a lot. Who didn't like me was the people just one age older than me, like 2 or 1 year. So if I was in sixth grade, the seventh graders hated me. If I was in seventh grade, eighth graders, they just didn't like me. I don't know why. And I remember, so they were bigger than me, and I remember walking to my house, and some guy, they kind of like jumped me. And I remember getting mad. They stole my money, my backpack. So a lot of people say, poor you didn't have a mom or dad, but I always had money because I was a candy boy. And I've never been broke. A lot of people where I grew up, they like, oh, blame society. I always had money. I always had, to me, I remember I was making $250 in those days, and that was a lot of money. I had my own little place, my weights. I had a Nintendo 64 because I bought it myself. I had all my friends. I hated Nintendo, but all my friends would play it. I was a cool kid because I had all the cool stuff, but I worked for my money. And I remember they jumped me, they took my backpack, and the guy that ran that neighborhood, he was a big shot caller in that neighborhood. He found out, and I was crying, and he went up to me and goes, what happened? I go, well, they stole my, I kind of heard about him because he bought a lot of houses, and everybody was scared of him. So they're like, what happened? I go, they stole my backpack and my money, and I was crying. He goes, get up. And then he goes, how much did they steal? And I go, it was like $300. And I was like, $300? And he pulled a big wad of money. In those days, they used to have cash, not credit, not debit cards like we do. And he pulled out it was nothing but hundreds. It was huge. And he goes, how much was it? And I go, 300. And he took out a 300, and I'm like, I think it was 400. And then I laughed because I always been honest. And he goes, was it 300 or 400? I go, it was just 300, but they stole my candy, and I had like 150. So he gave me like 450. And then he told everybody, if you guys touch Benny, I will kill you. And he said it in front of everybody. So then I was like the king of what he caught, of that neighborhood. So I never had a bad life. Like, it was like, poor guy. No, I did whatever I wanted. I don't believe in the new victim mentality. I guess a lot of us have that. I can become victim sometimes and say, poor me, but I snap out of it. I have 2 hands, 2 feet, and thank God I have 2 hands, 2 feet, and I can do whatever I want whenever I want. So grew up there, wrestled all my life. That was my way out of my neighborhood. Became a millionaire at age 21, I think I was. I was a millionaire at age 21. I was successful. I had another construction business. I was really successful too. I let that go. I gave it to my brothers. Left it because I hated the sun. And then I started doing trucking. I bought a bunch of trucks. I think I had a flight of trucks, semi trucks. I had like 24 of them. Sold that because I got tired of it. Didn't like the people in the industry, I guess. And then I started doing MMA. Everybody said I was too old to do MMA at the time. 1% of the world becomes a world champion. I did it. I did it for 2 times. I'm a 2-time world champion. Nothing good about me. Nothing special. I just work hard, and I know if anybody can do it, I can do it. And then I have this mentor, great friend of mine. You guys know him, John Wiggins.
Yeah. So, hey, can I pause you there, Benny?
Yeah.
Okay, before we get to John. So you grow up in a really tough side of town, right? And it's so, and I know about a lot of your story based on us hanging out and multiple different times we've been hanging and things. And you don't look at the world. And to your point, like people grow up in that situation or just in any situation, and they're like, poor me, like, oh, because of what my parents did or didn't do, or who they were or not they were, or what school I did or didn't go to. I'm only blank, right? And they put all these limiting beliefs on themselves. And listen, I just, I got a lot of love for you and what we're building together, but I think that's fucking awesome. So I just wanted to point that out. So you get an MMA, you do that, and then you finish MMA and you start training people, from what I understand, right? Obviously, how did you meet John? So John's, and for anyone that's on, John's one of our partners in the business, and so and a mentor of a lot of us. So how did you meet John?
So I wasn't done with my career. I had a couple more years. So I wasn't done with MMA. I was doing MMA, but he came to the gym and he asked if anybody can train him. I thought he was never going to come back. In those days, I really thought, because I always done things that nobody can really do, right? Like construction worker, build trucks, had a fleet of trucks. End up being an MMA fighter. Nobody wanted to be an MMA fighter. Everybody says they do, but they get hit once and like, all right, this is too much. So I always felt like I always wanted to give back in anything I've done. So in MMA, I wanted to give back all the time. And he came around and he goes, will you train me? And I started training him. And little by little, he started planting a seed on me. But at first, I thought he was not going to come back because he went in there and he went with Sessions, Oz, and him. And he came in a Porsche. I think they came in a Porsche. And I was like, they're not going to come back. So I was like, I'll do it.
They're too prissy for this. You're not going to let it get hit.
Yeah, I was like, I went in there and I was like, and it was the weirdest thing. John is just like me. Like when he puts his mind into something, he just does it. I remember he was the worst person I ever trained in my life. Worst person. Became one of the best persons I ever trained. Because when John puts something in his mind, this is why I will follow him to the end of the world. When he says something, he'll do it. I remember he could throw maybe 2 punches. And his heart, we will have to sit down because his heart will pump so much that we will have to sit down and get him to catch his breath again. And then we'll go again. He ended up so good that we'll jog for 2 miles in the morning and we'll train for an hour and a half every day, 6 days a week for 7 years. So he became my best friend and he kept telling me, you got to come and work for me. And I'm like, to him, it's funny because he tells this story to my guys and he goes, Benny lived in poverty. He didn't have no money. I'm like, well, I lived pretty good. But to him, it was not a good lifestyle. Like I lived in Scottsdale. I had nice cars. I had a nice house that was paid off. So I thought I lived a good life. I was in Scottsdale drinking every night. So I thought I lived a great life. And he goes, he told me, you need to come to me and work with me. And I'm like, well, I live a good life, John. I live right by you. And he goes, all right. And I didn't know how to read at the time. And he started helping me learn how to read. We went to the bookstore and he bought like books like Mary Had a Little Lamp. And he'll sit in the truck and we'll read it. And I'll be like, Mary had a little lamp. John, how many lamps does this bitch have? Sorry about the bad. He'll piss me off. Anyways, he showed me how to read. And then one time he goes, you got to come and work for me. I said, you got all the talent. I'm like, John, I don't even know how to read. What do you mean? He goes, you care about people. I said, okay. And he goes, do you know 98% of athletes go bankrupt? So John went and did his study. He said 98 of athletes go bankrupt. Mike Tyson made $300 million. He ended up owing the government $28,000, $26,000, $26 million. And then I was like, okay. And then my coach was coming out. And my coach is the best coach in Arizona. His name was Abel. One of the best coaches ever. And he goes, you see Abel? And I go, yeah. And when we were sitting, he was helping me read, and I'm sitting there, and Abel was coming out. And he goes to different gyms and coach champions, just world champions. He doesn't coach average speed, just world champions like me. And he goes, that's your coach? Yeah, I go, yeah. And he goes, look at him. And then he had like a 98 Buick maybe. This is like 6 years ago. He had a 98 Buick. And he goes, Abel came out of the fight ready, and he goes, and his door in the driver's side didn't pick up, and the window was slanted like this. It was like slanted like this. And he couldn't get his hand in it, so he went all the way around and got in the passenger, sat in the passenger seat side, got in the driver's seat, went to turn on his car didn't turn on, got off, got in front of the truck, opened the hood, moved the battery, closed the hood, got back on it, turned it on, and left. And John goes, how old is Abel? And I go, he's about 60 years old. He goes, that's you. And I was like, what? And Abel was a world champion too. Well, Abel was a 3-time world champion. He goes, if you don't come and work with me, that's your life. In the next 5-6 years, that's going to be you. And I got scared. He goes, if you come and work with me, you'll make $125,000 your rookie year. And that was, I was making that. So I didn't like, he goes, that's the beginning of your career. You'll make millions. And he goes, come and work for me. And I trusted him. I won my fight that weekend, and I came on Monday to work. He didn't tell me. I thought I was going to be a manager and I was going to be okay. He sent me door to door. I was so mad. Yeah. Yep. And this is where I came into my career.
And so that's, first of all, well, I've known John now for almost 20 years, right? I met John when he was 29 years old, and he was a young entrepreneur, just learning how to scale businesses and things. And, you know, the story that when I met him, it was in Chicago, and I'm 22, and he's with Michael, and, you know, we just hung out a little bit, and he was in his, you know, days of being single, and we went out and had a good time and whatever, and you know, living like the, you know, for anyone that even knows who Miami Vice is, like the Miami Vice lifestyle. It's interesting how, because you've met him later in his life, and he's in Arizona. I mean, he's a, I don't know, $3 million home, or I don't know, maybe $5 million now. I forget. He's got 4 or 5 of them. And, you know, he's life is very different than when I met him when he was a single guy, you know, and he's built all this in the last 15, 20 years by helping us and growing our business, right? So you start working in the office out there, right? And you're in the field learning sales, which, you know, sales is an incredible career for some, right? And that's kind of their long-term plan. And hey, and I know you now, you know, run the market there in Scottsdale with Jolene, right? And so you learn about sales, you learn about leadership, you get to a point where now you get promoted to ownership, to being a partner in the business, right? with all of us. And so tell me about just your track there through and learning the business and moving up, et cetera. Any advice you'd have for someone that's new in the sales, and they dream about being in management, they want to run a market, they love the idea of being in control of their life. Any tips for those individuals that are watching today?
I gotta ask this for them. So I hate sales. I'm not lying to you. I can't stand them. I never thought. When I think of sales, that's the thing that people. I want to change the way people, and I can't change it. I guess that's their opinion, but it was my opinion too. When John didn't tell me what I was going to do, and then I came in here and I was like, "What did you get me into?" But I trust him so much. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like I remember they didn't even tell me what I was doing. They park in the neighborhood and like, "All right, come on." And then we started knocking door to door, 125 degrees. I was like, dude, I'm a world champion. Like, what are you guys doing to me? I was a millionaire, like at 20. Like, oh, what am I doing? But it made sense. But I didn't want to be a salesperson because what you see when people say salespeople, they see. I remember the people that you go buy furniture. As soon as you walk in, you don't want to buy a couch or nothing. They make you buy it. And you don't even like the couch or a car you don't want. They're just so pushy. And I didn't like that. So John was like, don't worry. This is our, what pays the bills, Benny, but what we need to do, we're leadership. So I went and then I started seeing that sales is the best thing you can do. Nobody wants to do it. So nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to be a construction worker. So I get that. Okay, it pays a lot of money because nobody wants to do it. And then I realized that we don't convince. I don't convince nobody to switch. I just show them what I have, law of averages. Does it make sense for you? Yes. If it don't, have a good day. If it does, I got a product for you. So as long as you have honesty and you care about people, and if it doesn't work for them, say no. You will always make money. So that's how I realized. And the field teaches you how to be an owner. Owners, it's managing you have you manage your own office. Entrepreneurs, and I realized that entrepreneurship sales is the best thing you can do because you're providing, you're showing. It's full commission. You can have, like AT&T doesn't promise me nothing. Our client, I have to work for the money, and we're 100% commission to them. So I like it. It's like sports. It's like fighting. I only compete with myself. A lot of people are like, you compete with it. I don't compete with nobody else. I do not know how to compete. I'm a sore loser. So I remember one time in the field, I'll tell you a story. I remember I'm so competitive. I don't want to lose. So I remember this guy named Danny. Andres, a guy that's opening his casa too, said, hey, Benny, you're going to go with this guy. And I was like, okay. And we were selling DirecTV in Walmart. And I went with him, and I just worked hard. And I remember I got a sale first, and then he did, and then I got two, and then he got one. He was behind one. And I remember him going to the corner and doing, I don't know, because I'm honest. I don't like shady stuff. And he did something weird, and I remember I was mad. But I left, and we were leaving, and he was giving me I was giving him a ride or something. I remember walking to the car, and he gets a cigarette, and he's smoking cigarette, and he's like tired. And I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, God, that was exhausting. I said, okay, but that's me. That's how I work every day. That's just who I am. You know, it was a normal day for me. And he goes, I'm lucky. He goes, I was gonna go to the office, and people are gonna talk bad about me. I go, why? He goes, because I high rolled you. And I go, no, like we're even. He goes, I was competing with you. If I would beat you, Andres would make fun of me if I didn't beat you. And I was like, sorry, guy. Nobody told me I was in competition. Because if there was competition, I would have tied you up, put you in the trunk. I would have stayed in the store until 2:00. I don't know how to lose. I just never lose. I hate losing. Now, you have to lose to get good, but I'm not gonna lose. This is just work ethic. I'll outwork you. Now you're tired, and look at you. This is me every day. I don't stop. This is what I do. So you're never gonna beat me because I'm so much ahead of you. This is, to me, it's like, this is what you have to do. To you, it's just one day. And he looked at me and goes, so don't ever compete with me. I was like, I don't know how to compete. I don't know how to lose. Because if we were competing, I would have stayed there. So I never.
And you would have ended up in the trunk.
Yeah. So I never know how to compete. Everybody's like, even in fight, no, I compete with myself every day. I heard it from the greats. Michael Jordan says it. LeBron James, never mind. Scratch him. Kobe, the best of the best always said, they compete with everybody else competes with them. They compete with themselves. So I always did that. Even when I was a fighter, anything I do in life, in this business, I never. I don't know. You'll call me one time. You're like, you're number one. I was like, okay, I guess. I don't care. If I do the right stuff every day, I'm supposed to get what I'm supposed to get. If I do 110%, that's what I deserve. If I do 80%, that's what I deserve. If I do 50%, that's what I deserve. If I do 110%, I deserve to be number one.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. And an interesting thing is, right? So we've been working together on this EDM project, right? The Targets, the Walmarts. We launched. When did you launch Scottsdale?
I think a year and a half ago. A year ago.
Say about a year and a half. So
Jolene was 2 years. Jolene's
okay, right. She was first, and then you came over. That's right. Okay. And so and since then we've gone from a couple reps, a couple stores in the market. How many stores do you guys have now in that market on EDM?
I don't check my emails. I don't know. Damn.
30 something?
Like 30, yeah, 35.
Okay. And just to off of data that I see, your business last week did about $35,000 in business.
Uh-huh.
And the girl how old is Jolene?
24.
Jolene's 24 years old, partners in the office. We have partners in the office here, right? Same idea. Her business did about 35,000 as well.
She always beats me. She's killing me.
So in that one location, $70,000 in business came through last week. It's pretty awesome, bro.
Yeah. Because of you. You do a lot of it. You help me out a lot. You just, every time you call me, it's to straighten up my business to help me out.
No, listen, to your point, man, I'm here for love and support and giving you guidance from like 10,000, point view. So
you help me out so much
that.
every time, because everything you say, I just do what you say, and it is like you yell at me, but you tell me what to do, and it fixes it, and I give more money. I'm like, if he says something, I'm gonna make more money at the end, so I gotta listen to what he says.
Hey, and I know. Listen, and to be fair, for anyone's listening today, he's a professional MMA fighter, so I can be pretty real with him. He's good. For some people at our staff here, like, oh, Ken's gonna yell at me. No, I'm not gonna yell at you.
That former coach. So everybody always asks me, like to me, when you said that, I like it. So let me tell you the people that I remember in my life. I don't remember we coaches. The people that do impact to me, that did an impact on me, is people like you that tell me what to do. Now society switched it. I don't know why. I don't know why. A lot of the best people are like, I don't think if you come late, Tom Brady's coaches like, okay, like the top coaches tell you what it is. And all I remember is the coaches that were tough with me. John Wiggins is really tough with me. Like he just all day is just telling me what I'm doing wrong. But I love it. It's because he makes me do better. I don't like the new coaching. I want the answer and tell me what to do and I'll do it. Simple.
Yeah.
Life is simple. We make it so hard.
Agreed.
And you guys been in the business so long, you guys know what to do. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. Except the emails. Don't tell me the emails.
Right. And so the interesting thing is, right, your example, your work ethic, you're building out the market, and now you have, 4 or 5 assistant managers in that office now?
Yeah, we're promoting out one. John just gave me the permission. We're sending one to Tucson. We're getting the stores. We just asked first code yesterday.
Love it.
Jolene has 2, 3 now. So 6 of them. I got one's leaving, and we're gonna have 5. We got 3 outside deals, 4 outside deals right now.
Love it. And so you go through this, upbringing that you have. It's interesting to me, right? It's your mindset. You have so much gratitude towards what we do, and compared to maybe some of your other experiences, and obviously this love for the leadership, the love of the support.
Yeah.
Where do you what's your advice for people? Hey, they're just maybe in their first couple months in this opportunity. They have nothing to compare this to. Like, what are some things that that you've grown in, or that you share with your team constantly out there? I mean, I want to steal some of that juice and like, hey, well, how can I share with our staff here that doesn't hear from you every day? Like, how are you guys doing so well?
There's two things I'll explain to you. One thing is like I got promoted in 5 months to ownership, and everybody's like, how did you do that? It's like I hated the field. I wanted to get out. I remember I went out one day and I was like, I can't believe John has me here. I was really mad. And I said it out loud and my leader heard. I was like, I can't fucking do this. Sorry about the bad word. I can't do this. I can't do this for the rest of my life. And nobody's told me nothing. I was already a month in the business, maybe 2 weeks. So I can't do this. I can't see myself doing this until I'm 65. And he goes, you don't have to. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, yeah. He's like, you have to get promoted. And I said, what do you mean? What's promotion? And he goes, oh, do you know that guy, the small guy that runs the office? Like short? I go, yeah. Andres. He goes, yeah. You can be a manager here. And I go, what is a manager? Because John never told me nothing yet. He's a manager. Well, he runs his office. What does he do? He goes, nothing. I'm like, you're right, he don't. He goes, what do you do? He just runs a couple meetings. And in those days, Andres used to leave at 1 o'clock. After we left, he'll go home. So he'd do interviews and everything, and then at 1 o'clock comes, he'll go home. So I was like, and then what does he do after we leave? And he goes home and plays video games. And I'm like, what? I said, how much does he make? And Andres at that time was probably making like $200,000 a year. And I was like, okay, so what are you talking about? So you're saying if I get promoted, how do you get promoted? You have to have 10 people on your team, and you have to make, and he's told me the qualifications. I go, that's it? He goes, yeah. I said, and who's in control of my opportunity? Who do I? He goes, nobody, you. Andres has to give it to you no matter what. And he goes, because he hates me. I wanted to kick him. So I still have the mentality of a fighter. I wanted to kick him all the time. So I was like, so nope, you go and do it. You high roll, you ask him for an interview, he'll give you an interview, you get the interview, you care about them, you develop them. And then I do that 10 times, yeah, you get to assistant manager, and then you end up getting your office, and you do whatever you want. I can do whatever I want, yeah. I said, I don't have to wear a tie because I hate ties. Because you don't have to wear ties. One is the fastest person that done this, and he goes, this guy, his name was John. He was really shady. And I knew this, and I was like, okay, what about him? And then he goes, he did it in 6 months. He goes, well, if people follow him and he doesn't have good values, I have great values. I don't lie, I don't cut corners, I'm an honest man. So I'm going to make it in 5 months. He goes, yeah, whatever. I did it in 5 months. Everything, it's like sport. It's all on you. Everything's on you. If you neg out, you don't make no money. If you work hard, you get the results. Like, it's all on me. It's like fighting. Like, there's nothing else. It's like me. I'm like, if I care about my guys and I want them to have a better life, I just they gotta hit their goals. Whatever the goals is at the time, he wants a new car or a new apartment, take his wife. I'm gonna hit their goals, and whatever it is, I'm gonna end up getting the results. But I cheated a little bit. I always cheat. I'm not a cheater like I cheat, but I cheat. So back in my lifetime, when I was a white belt, I remember, this is what brings me back. This is the cheat code for any success in life I had. I remember I went to jiu-jitsu. Those that don't know jiu-jitsu, it's a grappling. It's like wrestling, but
Yeah.
a little different. So I went to jiu-jitsu class, and I remember getting there, and everybody, if there's a class of 100, there's like 60 white belts. White belts is way more. And then you got blue belts, a little bit less. And then you got purple belts, there's only like 3. Then you got brown belts that are probably like 1 or 2. And then you got black belts that are just 1. Back when I was doing it, there's only 1. Now in schools, there's about 2 of them or 3 of them. But when I was doing it, there was only 1. In Arizona, there was only like 2, Megaton and Santino. That's it. There was only like 2 of them. Anyways, so I went to class, and then they gave me this ski, and I had a white belt. There was a lot of white belts, and I was like, I told the guy next to me, how do you get a black belt? You have to pay somebody? Because I had money then. You have to pay him to give you a black belt? He goes, no, stupid. And I'm like, all right, what do you have to do? He goes, it's 8 years to get your black belt. I was like, 8 years? I can't wait 8 years. This is dumb. I was like, I'm not going to wait 8 years. I said, can I pee on mine? Because it was white, and I just wanted to be a little brown. No, you have to earn it. I was like, man. I was like, okay. And I was doing it. I fell in love with it. I loved it. But I was always mad every night. I was like, I gotta get to the black belt. What do I do? And I remember one day I woke up early. I'm an early bird all the time. I always woke up early. So I woke up at 5 and I had nothing to do. I said, and I looked online. There was a jiu-jitsu class at 6. So I went to jiu-jitsu class at 6. And then I went to go do what I was supposed to do. And then after work, I went to jiu-jitsu class at 6 at night. So I did 2 a day. And then Saturdays, I rode with everybody. So everybody always told me I was getting so good. And then there's 2 people in those days I got their black belt in 4 years. I got it in 4 years in BJ Penn. BJ Penn's one of the best. He got it because he's the best. I got it just because I did 2 a day. I do it in the morning and the afternoon. So I just did 2 a day, and everybody's like, how did you get so good? I do it twice a day, bro. Like, you do it once a day? I did it twice a day, that's all. Put in double the work. So those I caught up to everybody and I beat everybody. But there was another secret that I did. When I was a white belt, I hung out with the blue belts. I learned from the blue belts. I didn't want to be with the white belts. The white belts were not committed. It's like our entry-level position. They're not committed. They're like, I don't know, do I want to go? I hanged around with the leaders. The leaders were like, they watch videos more. They were a little more committed, but not that committed. They wear the suit. They wear a nice geese. Does that make sense? And then when I was a blue belt, I hanged around with the purple belts. The purple belts are like our assistant managers. They're committed. They fold their gi a certain way. They have different expensive gis. They care about it themselves. They watch videos. They study their opponent. They go to tournaments. They do same thing with our business. Assistant managers read more, read books, develop other people, care about other people, show moves. They learn. They run workshops, campaigns, meetings. When I was a purple belt, I didn't hang out with the purple belts. I hang out with the brown belts. They're the owners. I wanted to be owner. I didn't want to be a purple belt. I became an owner, and then when I became an owner, I started hanging around with the black belts, John Wiggins, the people that know way more than me, the black belts, the red with the red stripe. I started hanging around with them because I want to be them. If I hang around with the entry level person, I'm picking them up to black belt. I'm developing. I'm like, hey man, this is a shortcut. Come on, follow me. That's all I do. So I did 2 a day, and I hang around with the people that are better than me. I've never hanged around with somebody that's worse than me. Never. I hate doing that. If I hang around with somebody who's lower than me, I'm picking them up. I'm getting them. That's why you're a leader. Always know that. If I'm an 8 and I hang around with a 4, if I don't develop and I become a 5. If I'm an 8 and I develop the person, I become a 10. I'm valuable. People see that. That's all my secrets are. I just work harder than everybody. In this business, I did the same thing. I just did that. And I wake up at 5 in the morning, and people don't want to put in the work, so that's where you're at. I wake up at 5 in the morning, I'm watching, I read a book while I'm doing my business, number 2 in the restroom. So I read my book, and then I get dressed, I go to the gym. If you can see my Instagram, there's always 20 guys of my guys at the gym. At my gym, it sucks. You were with us at Keys. Everybody goes to the gym.
Yeah.
My top guys especially. Love, health, and success. Those 3 rules are mine. I help you in all 3. And they go to the gym with me, and I'm already coaching them. And then I don't stop until, again, I get off work. I stop doing interviews around 4. I go and get dressed, and then I meet them after the field, and I hang out with them. My job is to have dinner with them and to motivate them. So I hang out with them every night. It's fun to me. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. I'm willing to put in the work to get what I want.
Love it. Well, Benny, I know it's 10:40 right now. I spent a lot of time today. Thank you so much. I know it's early out there, and I know you're up early anyways, so I figured it wouldn't be too big of a deal. Any last words of wisdom? Any other things you'd love to share with anyone that could be watching this in our organization, outside of organization, just to have the level of success? And just so you know, I truly believe the success you've had thus far is going to be a small, and when I say small, piece of what your success is going to look like. I think you know in your heart what I'm talking about, and I'm really pumped for you. So any other tips or advice for anyone that's going to be watching?
I do.
And thank you so much.
I have a big tip. You guys got to remember this. So society tells you to be victim to life. I don't know why right now. Some people.
Love it. Love it. And hey, do you want to share some of your Instagram, how people could follow you or whatever if they'd like to on social media? I know we have a lot of people that watch the channel. We have over 1,100 or 1,200 subscribers now on the channel, which is nuts. I remember when it was one, me. Oops. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Well, listen, got to be careful what you read online in general. There, I mean, I always know you find what you're looking for. If you're miserable, you'll find miserable. If want to grow and do well, you'll find that too. So, well, first of all, Benny, hey, listen, thank you so much for the time this morning. You know, I got nothing but love for you and our relationship. I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for everyone that joined today and that will be watching this in the future. So, thank you so much.